Welcome to the Age of the Ring channel. I'm Jarian, a voice actor and beta tester for the mod. To get you all hyped up for the epic release that will be 8.0, we are starting a new series we'll call Beta Casting. Join me in an action-packed peek behind the curtain as our devs and beta testers go head-to-head, testing balance and all new features of the upcoming release. Let's go! Hey everyone, welcome back to the beta casting series. I'm really excited to be bringing this back for you guys. This is going to be the fourth video in this series, so check out the other three if you haven't already on the Age of the Ring channel. But this game, we're playing on Snowy Holland, and we're going to be bringing back some more kind of Harad 8.0 action for you guys. So really excited for you guys to see this, excited to cast this game. Over here in the top left, we've got Captain Corrigan playing Harad, one of our lead devs. And in the bottom right, we've got Rohan being played by, apparently, TheLastJarl, TheLastJarl, as he's known on Discord. Rohan is opting in for a quadruple farm opening. So I assume one of these is going to popping out, probably the one closest to the enemy. Very popping out some peasants here for Rohan, and we're going to see the standard opening for Harad. Which is I assume he went with the double bazaar outpost and then dropped the third bazaar when he could. Warlord is going to be coming out any second now, and the architect in place to build the fourth bazaar for the most standard opening for Harad. The other openings for Harad have proven to be kind of tricky to start off with. The other barracks are just a little more expensive, and the units are a little more expensive too. But he is going to opt in for the pikeman start, the tribal spearman, which makes sense going up against Rohan, and is going to be able to walk over here and creep this ward lair. Rohan, though, does not look to be, unless I'm missing anything, no stables is going down, so going in for the archery range and getting some yeoman archers right off the bat. So no cav start for Rohan, going straight for infantry, a bunch of peasants queued up. I assume we'll see draft. Yep, draft is being chosen. We do have the Southern Sentry being chosen for Harad. I'm trying to see. So we actually see a fifth bazaar going down, and the Southern Sentry over here already being placed relatively close to the fortress. I know when I play, I kind of make the mistake of putting it out as like a little too far, like scouting ahead and waiting too long to put it down. But George does a good job of kind of creeping it forward and getting a solid vision circle that's defensible here. More tribal spearmen being chosen here for Harad, as we've got some axemen coming down the south flank here. Another bazaar going down for Harad. Okay, so this is a very, honestly, a very greedy start here by Harad. If Rohan really wanted to, they could get some pretty good damage done on the other side. So many peasants here. I wonder... Yeah, so Rohan is obviously going to be able to defend against these axemen here. The farm is not going to go down. I kind of wish, whether they were just for creeping or not, it seemed like George was expecting to see some more cav, and Rohan, by kind of defending the axemen attack with his entire army, kind of shows his hand a little bit here. So now Harad knows what they're up against and is going to try and get into a defensive position here to defend against all of these infantry. And yeah, as we expect, we see archers here, and actually the Umbarian Citadel going down, which is a great defense against infantry spam. Like I was, the Harad kind of struggles against this early aggro style, but one counter to that is the fire bombs from the Corsairs. So pretty good response here from George to get the defense against all this going down here. At first, the archers kind of in a weird spot, a little exposed, but the TheLastJarl doing a good job kind of pulling them back and getting the peasants to kind of guard them. But the target fire from the tribal archers onto the yeoman archers was pretty good there. We'll see if they'll try and take out this battalion. But as you can see, the splash damage from the Corsairs kind of coming in clutch here. But this is a pretty big attack coming in from Rohan. and the tribal units aren't as equipped to deal with the kind of tanky drafted peasants. So we'll see what kind of damage Rohan is able to get here. Getting on top of the infrastructure as opposed to kind of going for the eco here. While Triber Spearmen, after having finished all of the kind of creeping, are going after this farm. But Rohan kind of oppressively blocking any units from coming out of the production buildings here. Though the Corsairs that have already been built able to kind of get off to the side and start bombarding these guys. Not able to get a lot of surface area onto the Corsairs, so the Corsairs kind of staying alive longer than they might. Yep, microing them back to kind of protect them. And I can't tell if more Corsairs are trying to get out. No more are in production, and actually the another Umbarian Citadel was kind of built back here, thinking this one was not long for this world here. And yeah, Rohan getting the surround on the production building here. Not a bad take. But Harad prepared for this. I'd like to see, yeah, Harad kind of going for the center here. Eventually going to take down the bazaar. Harad was able to take this farm down. So the attack, there's some very significant pressure coming from Harad here, while these scorpions actually do quite a bit of damage. Oh, wow. Yeah, these scorpions doing a very good job defending here. Harad not actually getting really any, Rohan not really getting any lasting damage done here. The level 2 Harandor outpost with 4,500 health is just not going to be killed by peasants alone, supported by archers. Draft going down once again. Here we go, though. So here's what Rohan, I think, needs to do is get around the side and get the economic damage done here. Because kind of sacrificing all these units to get damage done to a building is probably not the best use of them. But look at more bazaars coming down this way. So Harad is actually getting a deceiving amount of money compared to the position that it looks like. Like if you're playing Rohan and you're just going down the middle, it looks like you've got control of the map, but really Harad is kind of sneaking around the sides and getting cheeky resources in here and supporting, funding these units coming out from the back of the base here. Rohan is starting to get some damage done here, whereas 4th Men of Darkness getting popped up here to deal with these kind of flanking peasants. He does not want to lose this bazaar as well. So I like to see that here. And yeah, the outpost not going down. Level 2 outpost is maintaining itself here, and more Corsairs and tribal units being summoned here to defend against this. But the kind of push from from Rohan is relentless. We've got the workshop going down, so we're going to start proxying some siege. I like to see this. I think the peasants are doing a good job of dealing with the units, but needs to start getting building damage done, ideally to these bazaars, but the peasant siege ability not really working here. Horn of the Westfold going down. They seem to be pretty even in power points currently. Harad is ahead by 2. Yep, we've got some horsehead rams coming on out for Rohan. And now that Horn of the Westfold has been used, I wonder if we'll see the upgrade to the barracks coming. But Rohan doing a great job of just keeping the macro production up. Like, look at all these units. Oh, I guess Golem's here. The ring was not turned off for this match. Maybe we'll see some ring heroes. But Rohan keeping control of the map, keeping Harad on their side, not allowing any more, pressure to come onto their farms, but simultaneously not applying any pressure to Harad's. Trying to stay on the production buildings. The level 2 outpost going down is a big blow. It's an expensive building at that point. Horsehead rams that don't necessarily have horses' heads. Going after this level 2 bazaar, this is going to be a huge pick for Rohan. Really finally getting the damage in with the siege. Kind of playing the slow game with the map control and the mass peasants and infantry. and getting these rams in is going to be devastating. The Den of Scorpions is pulling its weight here, though. I've never built this, but it's getting quite a bit of damage. And actually, the pavilion in the background is starting to spawn these carrion feeders. The carrion feeders are pretty good against defense. They're particularly good against cavalry-oriented builds, but I think with a lot of, like, not necessarily cavalry. All I mean to say is that Rohan started with the archery range, and archers have been ever present in the army, so if the last Jarl decides to focus these down, the carrion feeder should go down pretty easy. But the Umbarian Citadel going down, and 2 rams getting on top of these just before it was about to proc that attack. This one should go down as well. The Scorpion's doing decent damage to them. Wow, Rohan getting some serious damage done here with this forward proxy workshop supported by the peasants and stuff. The Warlord and the Scorpions taking down the rams, and the carrion feeder finally going down to the yeoman archers. Having to rebuild the outpost in the back here. And summoning more and more Static D. The Static D is really chewing through Rohan's attack here. Really making use of these investments. And here's the thing, I mean, building all of this static defense is pretty difficult usually. It's expensive to build these when you're in this position, but because Harad has been able to keep these bazaars alive, like this is a level 2 bazaar, level 2, these haven't gone down. They've been able to fund the fortress expansions and the new production buildings without taking too much damage, just because they haven't been able to get onto the fortress or onto any of the economy here. Gonna sacrifice the rams for this building. So you see, once the temporary this was a temporary summon. This is the Tribes of Harad, level 10 or level 2 rather. Tier 2, 10 power. Jesus, there we go. Once they summon their units, it's kind of a dead building for a while. But Rohan gonna try and sneak their rams over there to get them anyway, so we don't get more free units. Relatively squishy building. Gonna go down in 1 or 2 more. 4th Men of Harad. Men of Darkness, rather. Yeah, 4th Men of Darkness being summoned here. We do see the West Folders, however. This is, the 4th Men of Darkness here to buy time, really. I feel like with the archers and the West Folders in the mix, these spearmen are not going to last too long. But they're actually getting some decent damage done to these peasants. While the Mahud are able to get the flank, as they're known for. Very quick, mobile, heavy-hitting units, but not particularly tanky. They'll get shot down pretty easily. Really good at chasing down siege like this. They attack really fast, decent damage, but are not going to be able to stand up against the armored West Folders here. Good damage being done there. And once again, almost all of the action happening in the center of this map here. Really no flanking action done by Rohan. I really would like to see his stables going down and just getting the flanks, because even if he's not aware of these bazaars, getting some horses down from the south or from the north to kind of flank these units would really help him in these fights here.
We are the warriors of
but it's working for him, so he's kind of letting it go in the middle here. But then he would find these bazaars if he had Horsemen of the Mark kind of coming up through here. And that would really seal the deal at this point, I think, because he's maintained control of the center of the map pretty much all game, and kept Harad on the back foot here. Like, all of their production has to be on the back side. We do see the Harad Patriarch coming out here. Pretty devastating unit. And some cavalry, finally, coming out for Harad here. And I don't know. There don't seem to be any pikemen, so the Harad getting right in the middle here to deal some pretty good damage. But it's getting focused down. Without the leap, not able to kind of get the CC in. And unable to get the roar off. It just hit level 2 before it died. But buying enough time for these Barandor Raiders to really deal some crazy damage here. They're not in their lunge formation, dealing extra damage, which is probably fine. They were able to survive getting accelerated like that. Getting some pretty decent damage done here to this Rohan army, but it still seems to only be buying time at this point. We do see the Yeoman Spearmen coming out to defend against these guys, so they back up. Nothing really definitive here yet, but able to thin out the Rohan army just a little bit. There's really not... This army is not going to take down the fortress, like, at all, so I really would like to see some kind of flanking action from Rohan here to take down these Bazaars. And get some lasting damage done. But it is keeping Harad busy on this side of the map and letting Rohan kind of expand a little bit. We do see only a 50-point CP lead from Rohan at this point. The level 2, even another Bazaar creeping out even farther for Harad. So pretty even in terms of CP. But like in terms of active army, Rohan definitely has the lead here. Harad's struggling to get a challenging force here. Rohan deciding to really... I like seeing the farms creeping forward to keep up the CP that way. But also kind of establishing more of a forward base here and a big clump of Westfolders. Most of this army, though, starting to stay tier 1, like peasants, archers, spearmen, and going for numbers here, as you can see, almost max army size, rather than quality, whereas Harad kind of forced to upgrade, even upgrading the pavilion to level 3 to allow the Marauders to come out. We might see some Marauder action. I don't know if any Beastmasters have been purchased. Ere the sun rises. Oh, wow, I missed it just as they were going in, but the Karads were about to kind of wreak some havoc, but ere the sun rises, stunning them and causing them to fall. A really, really cost-effective use of army there, even staying above max CP at this point. Really, really solid timing there from TheLastJarl to stun those Karads, forcing this Warlord back. I don't know if he's summoned anything. He has. He's an archer. Fourth Men of Darkness here, just going to try and stall, I guess, and more summons coming in from the tribal camps. But once again, like, these fights, Rohan is winning these fights, but not getting much lasting damage done. Killing some units, killing some summoned units, killing some summoned buildings, but all in all, like, no Bazaars going down. There's no production buildings to even try and take down here in the front, as they've all moved to the back of Harad's base here.
This Onager is ready to go.
Ooh, I heard the voice line for the Onager, however, coming out. So now we're going to start to see, as Rohan uses this army to kind of create an easier to siege area. He's got to get the Onagers in, because these Scorpions are really putting in a lot more work than it might seem. I really think these Scorpions are dealing a ton of damage to these units and really aiding in the defense here. But now that the Onagers are really kind of starting to spam out, we've got a third one coming, 2 on the way. We're going to start to be able to get some lasting damage here. He's going straight for those expansions, which makes a ton of sense. I really think this is what's holding him back quite a bit here during this siege. Keeping up the macro, honestly, this part is really impressive. It's hard to keep, tabs on the fight and constantly be running back here and building your buildings, even if they are hotkeyed. Just really solid macro here by TheLastJarl to keep up this siege forward. The Nafarati Marauders, however, in defensive mode, level 2, really chewing through some of these units and being backed by some Mahood units. So far, able to keep them off of the Onagers here, but they're really... They fought their way through. Rohan able to kill them eventually, supported by archers and the like. Decent damage being dealt to the fortress at this point. Our son... It does not appear that the siege units are in aggressive stance. I think that would be... If I'm right, I think aggressive stance really enhances the siege damage. But more and more Nafarati Marauders are coming here and starting to really do some damage.
This Onager is ready to go.
And I like to see the Nafarati Marauders kind of coming from the left flank to allow for the Harandor Raiders to come in from this side. Try and get the trample on all these units. No spearmen in here quite yet, but now 5 Onagers still alive. the Rohan front is able to keep these protected for pretty long. Even without spearmen to deal with the raiders, he's doing a very good job of microing the units to stay and body block for them. But now 2 battalions of Nafarati Marauders are here to get on top of these guys. The Mahood with the war chant gonna run in and start taking down these onagers. Really good at chasing those units down, but good micro to keep these guys protected here and try and get the archers on top of the Nafarati Marauders here. Wow, now the onagers kind of getting pathed in a little weird way, getting surrounded and chased down by these raiders. Crazy, crazy stuff going on. And I want to talk a little bit too about the Marauders here, because the only reason this is possible, to have a level 3 pavilion and continuously be spamming out these Marauders, is because of these high level bazaars. These are level 3. Uncontested bazaars. And now we've got the caravans. Talk about the caravans in a second, but the only reason Harad is in this with these high-tech units is because no pressure has been put onto the flanks for these economic buildings. And with Rohan keeping up the pressure in a very good way, is not teching up, so now is starting to meet this problem of the high-tech heroic units being supported by more ranged stuff and summons. Keeping the onagers near the workshop though for to heal them, along with the well and the heroic statue. If you haven't downloaded 7.3 yet, it's active in 8.0 as well. The heroic statues, unfortunately, as I say that, it's not actually in effect for Rohan now that I'm recalling, but the change from heroic statues to start doing infantry discounts. Not in effect for Rohan, I misspoke, because that comes from the windmills still, but just something to expect in 7.3 and 8.0. This fight seems to be going in favor of Rohan here. I think I like Rohan's position with the heroic statue and the well, kind of able to buff these units and start killing these guys. If this farm goes down, that would be kind of a shame, but at max CP level for Rohan, not too bad. Only 750 max still for Harad. Has not been able to place down any more bazaars. And one thing to notice too, we're kind of seeing the change to CP in action here. I think it's in 7.2 and in 7.3 at this point, but the change to... Oh, wait, hold on, I'll talk about this in a second. This is now being summoned. I have not been paying attention to the PowerPoints here, but the Black Matriarch, the Mama Mumak, has been summoned here, using their deafening trumpet ability to stun and terrify surrounding enemies. Stomp, Mighty Stomp being used. Kind of whiffing. I don't think that really hit too much, unless it killed those things, which it might have. Gonna be able to take down this workshop in like 3 hits. Oh my gosh. Guys, just look at this. The red eyes are just... with some Nafarati units in the canopy. Or whatever this is called. There's probably a technical term for it. But it looks... Oh no, not the party! So the Mama Mumak is coming in and destroying this forward base, allowing more Harad units to kind of de-establish Rohan's position in the middle of the map here and cause them to fall back. This level 3 farm is now in danger too if the Mumak decides to go for that. If not, the level 2 farm here is going to go down. We'll see. If this goes down, that's going to be, what, 100 CP? Nope, the Mumak is going to go in for this huge clump. No stomp ability, but going to summon... It's going to be able to get one attack off? No. So it disappears before it's able to get attack off on all these clumped up units here. The Mahood's coming in on a front of onagers that are exposed here. Okay, the TheLastJarl is going to be able to move the body block the units in time to protect the onagers here. Very solid. Farm's still here, so buffing up the peasants just in time. A huge swing in momentum here for Harad. Crazy, crazy defensive and patient play from Harad to be able to save up the 25 power points which now Rohan finally has the 25 power points to spend on. I believe with Ere the Sun Rises, they could go for either or. They could go for the heroes or the last march of the Ents.
The Westmark stands ready to defend Rohan.
I don't quite know what this buff or debuff is. I honestly have no idea. Is the level 3 farm going to go down, though? I don't think... Rohan does not have rebuild, and they're not going to be able to get it. Oh, they did get Last March, though. Last March going to be summoned right on top of the fortress. There's some pikemen to deal with it, though. The Beastmaster probably not going to do too much. How did this fight go? So, yeah, okay, so... Harad taking this very seriously. Going to retreat most of their units to try and deal with this. No Ents going down as of yet. Fortress down to half. I think Harad will be able to deal with this without losing the fortress. Oh my gosh. Ere the Sun Rises is being summoned here. And the tribal camp's probably summoning more spearmen to be able to deal with this. The stun going down for Rohan to give the Ents enough time. Is it going to be enough?
Swords and shields for peasants alike.
I think it is. The fortress goes down. I believe damage to the fortress from Last March of the Ents was nerfed, and it might be in 7.2 at this point. I'm not sure, or 7.3, but and just then the timer goes out. Crazy. The synergy between Ere the Sun Rises and Last March there was really impressive. Taking down the fortress is a massive blow. But now we see a War Mumok coming in with all of these clumped units. Not too many pikemen in there. This is the trample kind of whiffing. But still is going to be able to walk through the army. Look at the CP is plummeting. Oh, no. Oh, it's devastating. Oh my god. So, okay. It's exactly what you don't want to do against the Mumok. Is keep your entire army in a clump there. Oh,
stands ready to defend Rohan.
that's tragic. The Mumok is going to go down to some peasants and some onagers, but that Mumok almost single-handedly saved this push. Crazy value from that. Onagers on the retreat here from the Nafarati Marauders, who are going to be able to chew through these kind of lower tier units, I assume. Some archers coming in to back them up, though, might be able to deal with them. Yeah, Mahood getting on top of these onagers. I don't think these guys are going to make it. Now that these Nafarati Marauders are leveling up to level 2 now. Yep, these onagers going down. Gonna activate War Chant, but not gonna focus the low health onagers. Rather kill the peasants. Are these guys gonna be able to get them? Okay, getting one. Leveling up too. What a crazy back and forth game this has been. We've got the Beastmaster level 2. Now we start to see the Harandor archers, which means this must be a level 3 at this point. Not going to see Guards of the Serpent because we obviously can't have Suladon without a fortress. Honestly, this has been a very low... I don't think I've seen a single hero this game. Maybe I missed one and it was killed. But for such an infantry-heavy build, we don't see Elfhelm, we don't see Eowyn. I wonder if that would have been helpful for Rohan in this push.
We are called to war.
Just has not moved away from the kind of tier 1 army spam. The Westfolders obviously being introduced, but Harad kind of taking this game back with their flanking resource structures and going into the Nafarati Marauders, going into the Mumakil, the expensive units, and making use of them in a really good way. One thing I was trying to mention before when I noticed that the caravan was here, and now we see it, but earlier on, one of the advantages that Harad has in this game is being able to sneak. It doesn't necessarily need to be sneaky, but the caravans producing a heavy amount of resources with a much smaller resource radius would have been good in the early game for Harad, but that initial $600, oh my gosh, is this going to trample through? So, choosing to not trample through, which makes sense. There were 2 battalions of pikemen here. Even though pikemen damage to trampling Mumoks was nerfed, that might have killed the Mumok, and George is trying to be very... Or, sorry, Harad is trying to be very safe with its Mumok here where it tramples and where it tries to deal damage. Trying to really make good use of its units and taking the advantage. I mean, Rohan only has 300 resources, only a third of its max CP here, and it's all tier 1 units, whereas Harad is rich and has lots of higher level units. Like, these archers are no joke. The Ormumok, the high level Nafarati Beastmaster here with the Nafarati Marauders. It's just a superior army here coming in from Harad. The disadvantage, of course, being that there's no powers in the mix for Harad at this point. So they're going to want to try and win with this push. A little game of cat and mouse here. Some very clumped up units. I wouldn't clump up against the Mumok like this again, but Trample is on cooldown. A pincer, not a pincer attack, but kind of getting a cheeky surround, going around the Holland party here. Kind of forcing Rohan to back away to avoid getting completely surrounded by the army, is allowing the Mumok to get after this level 3 farm. Kind of sacrificing some Harandor spearmen to do this, but allowing the Harandor archers to be attacking from multiple corners here. George is going to retreat the Mumok from the Halifarian archers. Probably the main weakness of Mumoks, at least in this beta version, are elite archers. So really not wanting to sacrifice the Mumok for the level 3 farm. And the Harandor archers really chewing through this army. And here's, I mean, now I think this must have been put down in response to seeing the Harandor archers, because Rohan has not gone for cavalry all game. And just look at this. Caravans on either side. The eco advantage to Harad is so insane. But even with the economic advantage, I mean, Rohan has been playing this really well in terms of keeping pressure on the front. I think if Rohan were to keep this in check a little bit more and even expand this way themselves and have a little bit more money, they would be pumping out the Edoras Kingsguard, you know, and getting some better cavalry out here earlier on and being able to challenge this a bit better. But George is playing very, very smartly in terms of keeping his eco up and keeping the focus of the battles in the center and not drawing attention to any flanks, really.
The woods will shelter us.
Bit of a standstill at this point. I think the last Jarl here must be trying to figure out what he needs to do at this point. He's lost control of the middle of the map, but he's not necessarily on the defensive at this point, so he's trying to figure out what the game call is here. Riders of Snowborn being produced. Cavalry, I think, is a good option, but in this beta, and maybe even in 7.3, the Snowborns have a little bit of a different role than they used to, as kind of like the superior trample damage cavalry. In this mode, they have like a combat formation that makes them immune to trampling pikemen. They can't trample any units, but they get like a buff to damage to fight in melee, so they're like fast moving swordsmen, I guess. It's hard to kind of pin down what their niche is, but it's a little bit different in this beta. We're trying to figure out how to use them. So we'll see how the last Jarl wants to use them against Harad in this case. Harad just kind of moving down here, creeping this. I don't think Harad in the base, since the in units are all going to be changed up soon, I don't think Harad has an in unit currently. So yeah, we'll see. I would like to see these guys start to flank and find some of this stuff and put some damage. It's the biggest mistake of this play. Everything about Rohan's pressure and build and positioning and micro has been incredible, except for the fact that the flanks have just been left unattended, allowing Harad to stay in the game this long. And now he's tacked up. Like, this is end game. These are end game units. We've got the Black Numenorian Vanguard, Harad, Harandor archers starting to chew through this army with a crazy front line of Nafarati Marauders, not falling for any trample, dude. The Snowborns immediately being called off by Fourth Men of Darkness. Great use of that power. And I totally missed this. The fortress was rebuilt. He wouldn't have been able to summon that without rebuilding the fortress. So while that standstill was happening, Harad used its pressure to raise up enough money for that fortress, allowing for this attack. The forward oasis going down. Ere the Sun Rises being used at a pretty good time, I think, at this point to really reposition here. This clump of Halipherians is really able to handle these guys. There's no cavalry, or the Black Numenorian Vanguard here is not being able to get on top of this Halipherian clump. So good positioning from Rohan on that front. I do like to see a little bit higher tech units coming out from Rohan finally, because the yeomans and even the Westfolders to a certain extent are not going to quite cut it against the late game Harandor archers and Black Numenorians. We are going to see the Snowborns kind of coming in to harass this level 3 Bazaar. Finally, we're going to see some damage done there. We've got the Black Numenorians and the Nafarati Beastmaster, who is able to use the Warg Tamer ability at this point to summon a bunch of wargs to fight. These wargs are no joke. The Beastmaster is such a great unit. But this clump of Halipherians without the archer debuff anymore is going to be able to do a ton of damage. This archer battalion going down very quickly. The wargs, though, going to be able to get some decent damage on these guys, and we'll see if George is paying attention enough to keep this Beastmaster safe. But I don't think the Halipherians are going to challenge it. At this point, the repositioning of the archers kind of not in Rohan's favor here. Just as he started to move forward and get out of a kind of a defensible clump here, Harad had a wide arc of units coming in, plus Curse of the Wind Demon kind of disrupting everything, and the War Mumok coming in. Great play by George here to get a huge trample on the Halipherians, the main damage source of Rohan at this point. Huge play by Harad here. Very effectively using the Mumok here, as you should, to get some crazy damage done to some out-of-position units. The Nafarati Marauders here being used, still getting some crazy value. Westfolders taking down this Oasis so that Harad can't use it in future fights, but Harad is bearing down. This Beastmaster is continuing to get crazy value. The Black Numenorian Vanguard charging in into some Yeoman Spearmen, however, so not going to be able to last too long. And once again, Harad a little bit on the offensive here, at least enough to keep Rohan off their base. Losing a high-level Bazaar is kind of a blow there. We will see the Black Matriarch is going to be coming off cooldown in a minute here, so if Harad can keep Rohan busy long enough, these two powers together will this power alone, Burning Sands, if it was up, would completely erase this army and allow for the Black Matriarch to really crush this infrastructure here. Oh, I hear Last March of the Ents being summoned. Going for another cheeky fortress kill, I assume. I'd like to see them go on aggressive stance. Once again, I think Siege is much more effective on aggressive stance. I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I wonder how much damage the Mumok is going to deal to this. I got to be watching this as well. We'll check the fortress status in a second, but Harad, here it's just a matter of the higher tier units are completely decimating the low level yeomans and lack of leadership here. Harad just completely decimating this over here. There's only 36 power or CP points. Oh my gosh, the fortress is gonna go down. Last March of the Ants able to take it down.
Birkenbrand's men, ready for orders.
So taking off Burning Sands off the table at this point, which is honestly kind of fine. I don't know what Harad or what Rohan does in this scenario. There's just no units are gonna come out of here that can deal with this. There's just too many high-level, high-tiered units. Elite swordsmen, elite archers, Mugakil, like the yeoman spearmen aren't gonna do it. Horses aren't gonna do it. I think Rohan is gonna try and turtle up. Yeah, I mean the barracks, like you have to upgrade the barracks to get to the higher tier stuff. Had to rebuild the archery range because the original archery range was up here. I think this might be it. I think Harad turned it around. Excuse me. What a crazy game. What a crazy game. I don't think a single hero was built. How crazy is that? Not a single hero was built. And we've got a swarm of Mumakil here for Harad. Harad not focusing on rebuilding the fortress at this point. I think they're feeling pretty comfortable in their position. I mean, they've had control of the flanks for economy this whole time. There's really, when you have this kind of control, what you also have is you have the knowledge in the amount of money that your enemy is making, right? Like if you know what's here, you know what they can produce and what they can't produce, and there's really nothing that Rohan can build at this point to challenge all of this. Trample coming down from this War Mumok on top of these Snowborns, but gonna deal with cavalry better in melee. Obviously, I don't think cavalry take too much damage from Crush. Could be wrong there. Some more Snowborns being built from TheLastJarl. I wonder. Yeah, I don't know if Snowborns are the best. It's hard to remember what iteration of Snowborns we're in at this point versus the Rohirrim Warriors. We've been trying to figure out how the Snowborns are going to fit in this game, but they don't seem to have been paying off this game. Stables going down, and that's it. I mean, I don't really see a way for Rohan to come out of this. They don't have the side. I just saw all of his spells come back online. Oh, here it is. The fortress is down in the bottom corner here. So we're going to be able to see the Black Matriarch probably come in again. This game's over. I'm just kind of talking and trying to debrief this crazy, crazy game. Yeah, it's just kind of RTS law. If you control all of this, you're gonna be good. But I mean, that being said, even with that kind of resources, Corrigan was playing very well, rebuilding buildings, keeping that macro up, keeping Rohan distracted enough. And preventing them from really laying a perfect siege. Unrelenting Sun going down, dealing some damage to these guys over time. But here we go. The Black Matriarch twice in one game, folks. Now I know why. So the team, I've been kind of gone for a while and haven't been able to cast or play too many testing games. It's been a few betas since I've been able to play. Oh, and we see the Black Matriarch kind of buffing the rest of these moves. But they told me this would be a really fun one to cast for you guys just because there's so much cool Harad stuff, and you can definitely see it here. The Black Matriarch getting to use all of their single-minded charge. Oh, to run down a hero. How cool is that? We will see the Oath of Kirion being assembled here, so somewhere Hirgon should be summoned. Here he is. Hirgon lowering or increasing cavalry production speed. But Hirgon is making an appearance in 8.0 for the Rohan summon.
Send for aid!
Oh, there he goes. He's shouting. Might sound a little familiar. His voice sounds a little loud.
Sacred Hill.
Deliver the red arrow!
That's funny. Look at all of these Mumok guys. The Mumakil. Charging down Rohan, getting their revenge for the Battle of Pelennor Fields in this game here. Man, I'm so excited for you guys to see all this stuff. 8.0 is still a long ways away, but hopefully you can get a cool taste of what's to come from these beta casts, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I enjoyed casting them. I was about to fast forward, but that's going to be the last blow there for Harad. What a great comeback from Harad in that game. Really, really good use of map control. Rohan doing so many things well, but just ignoring the flanks and not going for the economic cutoff that he needed in order to really seal the deal on some of those sieges. Killing 2 fortresses with that one power. But anyway, all in all, fantastic match. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know what you think. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.